with the former Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. Let's now go across to Shaina, NC spokesperson of the BJP. Shaina, terrible news coming in today. Of course, he has been ill for a while now, but this is unfortunate. 66, only 66, has played a stellar role, not just in this government, but in the NDA-1 as well. This is a loss to parliamentary democracy.
Send it to me. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Shaina.
Well,
Shaina, I was talking to you about Mr. Jaitley's contribution and his passing.
Well, we all have treated him as a father figure, and it is an extremely sentimental shock for us, if I may say so, because his contribution, not just to the party, but to youngsters like myself, who literally started our career under his shadow and under his guidance, this has come as a rude shock. And at this juncture, one would only want to say deepest condolences to his family and to the extended family of the Bharatiya Janata Party, because he was the most committed leader one has ever seen and magnanimous too. I remember before the Lok Sabha elections, he used to brief us spokespersons at his Krishna Menon Marg home without us getting the slightest shadow of doubt that he was not well or he was going through treatment. His commitment to the election and to Prime Minister Modi's victory and that of the Bharatiya Janata Party was evident with his commitment to sticking right till the end and then very graciously saying, now I've had enough and I will move back to my Kailash Colony home. And I remember my last interaction with him at the Kailash Colony home, where he said that now his willpower is diminishing. So it's a very sentimental moment for all of us.
That is certainly... I can understand that, Shaina, and I understand that this is a difficult time for each one of you, people who've been associated with Mr. Jaitley over the years. And, you bring up something that I've heard many people speak of, Shaina, and I was giving the example of the former Chief Economic Advisor, Arvind Subramaniam, who in his conversation with me and as well in the foreword of his book had spoken about the fact that Mr. Jaitley was a leader who allowed his officials, his secretaries, people working with him, to take decisions. Even if they made mistakes, there was never this sort of feeling of you're not empowered to make decisions. And I sense that from our conversation as well. Is that something that you believe has been specific to his style of functioning and leadership?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, at the cost of saying that you have the slightest problem in the party, the most accepting of being open to a conversation and being supportive of a viewpoint was Mr. Jaitley. And as I said, at this juncture, all I can wish is family, friends, associated with him over the years.
It's an emotional moment. Yeah. I will let you go, Shaina. I know it's an emotional moment for you. Thank you very much for joining us, Shaina NC, spokesperson of the BJP, someone who, as she pointed out, started her career, her political innings under the stewardship of the former finance minister. And just look at the legacy and the versatility of Mr. Jaitley and his ability to play different roles for the BJP. In this tenure, in the Modi government's first tenure, Mr. Jaitley was the finance minister, Mr. Jaitley was the corporate affairs minister, Mr. Jaitley was also the defense minister, and these are massive portfolios. At some level, I guess his health did take a toll, and he tried to do less, and which is when the defense portfolio was finally shifted away from him. But nevertheless, a very, very versatile innings by the former finance minister. Also in the Vajpayee government, was the Commerce Minister as well. Mr. Godino, I was just talking about the versatility of Arun Jaitley, not just as a minister, but any role that the party wanted him to fill. He was the troubleshooter, one of the key troubleshooters for the BJP.
I think as far as the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Modi ji is concerned, he was the Mr. Dependable. In any situation, any task assigned to him, he would fulfill it to the satisfaction of his leader And with his sort of performance that was there, whether in the government or at the party level, it left everybody in awe. Yes, he has fulfilled the particular task so well. That was his persona, that was his personality. So much so that if people talk that he was equally friendly even to the opposition party or opposition party members, it is his personality, his persona, his way of dealing with things which endeared him in turn to everyone. No one felt like saying no to him. And I can recollect several conversations even in the different GST Council meetings at a point when it looked like things are going to break and consensus will not emerge. A few words from him and the soft approach that he had, thereafter it changed things dramatically. And I think today he has left behind a legacy where the nation will always be proud of him. The Bharatiya Janata Party will always be proud of him. And one will never forget the contribution that he was able to make to the GST Council and the implementation of the GST itself, which I think he carried forward a task assigned to him by Honorable Prime Minister far beyond what one could comprehend. The success, if at all, has been achieved and we have come this far. His contribution, I think, he would consume the lion's share, considering that he made everybody to not only partake in discussions, but ultimately it was his line of thinking that was ultimately accepted in the interest of the country. He was a true, I would say, patriot in that sense that he wanted what is good for the country. He wanted what is best for the economy, and he gave his best. Even when he was sick, when he used to attend meetings, we never felt that he was sick. He never allowed us to think that, oh, he's not well, he's unwell, and yet he is come for the meeting. And afterwards, when we used to learn that actually he's so seriously ill, that showed the level of commitment, which I think it's very rarely seen in sometimes. And it is something commendable which is there for everyone to emulate ultimately. Leaders from holding different positions or people holding different positions. He's a true example, which is totally exemplary and a person worth copying in doing things which are for the betterment of the country and anything that is good for society. I, for one, would always miss him. I, for one, would always miss him. Because at least twice I remember when I raised issues and when the exporters were having a problem and then the hoteliers also had a problem. After at the two different occasions when ultimately the problem was resolved, though I was very vociferous and quite nasty the way I put it, he has put his hand around my shoulder. Well done, Marvin, well done. I really appreciated and it made a lot of sense. I had to listen to you. So this is something which builds leadership and it builds a different atmosphere altogether, considering that today politics has become what it is. Having such a personality always gave us a lot of confidence of a different sense altogether.
Absolutely, Mr. Godino. Thanks very much for sharing some of your memories of the former Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, member of the GST Council representing the state of Goa. As we pointed out, perhaps, Mr. Jaitley will always be remembered primarily for the work that he did at the GST Council. Thousands of decisions at the GST Council being taken by consensus in unison, people rising above party lines and acknowledging the fact that it wouldn't have happened unless it was because of Mr. Jaitley. It wouldn't have happened unless there was somebody else. In fact, very clearly, there was a resolution also passed in the first meeting that was chaired by the current Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, where the GST Council acknowledged the contribution of Mr. Jaitley. Joining us now is the Vice Chairman of the Niti Aayog, Mr. Rajiv Kumar. Mr. Kumar, thank you very much for joining us.